Hello and welcome to the first tutorial on how to set up your Dance Studio administration system. In this first video, we'll be looking at the layout of the Excel workbooks. For this system, there are two different options available. Option 1 is using two separate workbooks for both the student class data, which is this workbook here that shows the classes they take and whether or not they have paid their week-to-week payments. It also has their personal details and if they have paid registration. The second part is the student costume payment data, which has their names, their costume size, the class they take, and whether they paid these fees. By separating these two, this allows for less confusion, making it easier to separate the two different payments. Now, option 2 is the combined layout of both workbooks in order to allow for quicker access to all information. This involves putting all their weekly information of whether they paid and their costume fund all onto one workbook. Even if you are using option number 2, please continue watching option number 1 to learn how to do the class payment layout. For option 1, we'll start by putting first name and last name into the first two columns. Once that is done, you'll select the whole top row and bold for them to stand out against the rest of the information. Next, you'll highlight the second column and create a right border to separate the first lot of information from the second. Then you'll put in the different dance styles available at your studio. For me, I have put in just the 4 basic styles. We'll then adjust the columns to utilise as much room as you can on your screen, just so that you can see the length of the word. Next, we'll also highlight that column and add a right border to once again separate the information. We'll then go on to put in the weekly fee they pay and if they have paid the registration, again adjusting the columns if necessary. Once again, we will separate this information by adding a border. The next step is to insert how many weeks in your term there is. For me, I have basis of a basic 10-week term. We'll finish this off by inserting a total column where you can write up the final total they have paid for the term. And then you can separate the payments from the total by adding another border. The last thing to do is to insert any student information. Moving on to the second workbook, which is the costume payments. Again, we're putting in their first name and last name, bolding the top row, and creating a border between this information and the next. Next, you'll be again putting in which classes are available, and it can again be customized to the classes available at your studio. Once I have put them all in, I once again adjusted the columns and created a border to separate this from the next set of information. The next thing to do is to put costume size. This is where you can put in what sizes the costumes need to be for that certain student. Later on in further tutorials, I will show you how you can make more than one column based on different company sizing. After that, you'll again put a border. You'll then be putting in costume fee, which is the amount that is paid through each instalment of the costume payment. You will then make columns for each instalment. I have done over this 4 different instalments. This again can be customized to how many instalments your business uses. Next, I have again put a total column in order to total up the final amount. This concludes the layout of the two booklets as separate booklets. For option number 2, the combined layout, we will be using the simple class payment layout and we'll be adding the costume payment layout on top of that. First we will put a right border on the total column and then we'll put in the costume size column. Following that we'll put a border and we'll put the costume fee, which is how much they pay per instalment. And then inserting costume fee 1, 2, 3 and 4. Again, this can be customized to suit your studio. Then on the end, add in a total column to put in the total amount for the costume and create a border off the end of that. After this has been completed, since you do need to scroll, I'll show you a quick and easy tip. You just select the first column, column A, go up to View and click Freeze First Column. This allows for you to be able to scroll back and forth without the first column moving. This is just a recap of the final look of the layout. I hope this has been helpful and you have found the layout that is appropriate for you and can be customized to your needs. For any more information and help, please refer to the booklets provided along with this tutorial video.